What's up, everybody? It's Chad. We're back again with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. Sorry we're a week late. We had some stuff with the guests and everything, but I have her here today with me. Today, it's going to be Donna. Donna, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for the invite once again.
Awesome, thank you. And if you guys noticed, we're actually somewhere familiar but different. We're actually here at Lit Lounge, formerly known as Monster House, here in Las Cruces. So where we're sitting at right now is like the little back room VIP area. So it's real cool. They even have blue walls, so we didn't need a green screen today. I know Gino's excited. Gino's excited for that one. Yeah, exactly. So like I said, Donna, as my guest, thank you so much for joining me. But I won't introduce you all the way. I'll let you do it yourself.
So Donna Marijuana here, Chief Operating Officer for 420 Collections. Just happy to be back, man. It's been exciting. It's been a great time.
Yeah, you know, it is. You know, you had a little bit of a hiatus, but now you're back and, you know, you're full force, really. Now you're doing more than what you were doing before.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I love it. I love this industry. I love the people. And it's just been a fantastic welcome back since I got back. So.
Definitely. You know, everyone's happy that you're here, you're back and everything. So, you know, I want to say welcome back.
Thank you so much. It's amazing to be back.
Of course, you know, and it's great to be back in a lounge, you know, hanging out and everything, you know, smoking and all that. We were just talking a little bit. We usually don't smoke on the show, but we're in a lounge, so when in Rome.
What I love to do.
Exactly. So we have a great episode for you guys today. You know, we're going to be talking about Donna, what she's been up to, what's going to happen, you know, what's planned and everything. And then we'll talk a little bit about lounges and stuff too, because New Mexico is one of the only states that I know that's kind of done it this way. I know Vegas has done some stuff in California. They've kind of expanded a little bit, but you know, we've taken it to a different route, I would say.
Yeah.
But before we go through all that, you know, for the people who don't know who you are, unfortunately, could you go ahead and give it like a backstory of how you got started in cannabis to, I guess, now?
Yes, of course. So I actually got into cannabis because my mom is actually a breast cancer survivor. So it was making edibles for her, making sure that she was good and she was set. So I pretty much got into the education on that and ended up with Pure Life, and then just moved on from there, from Pure Life to our Green Leaf, from our Green Leaf to a bunch of other dispensaries. And then I ended up here with 420, and I've pretty much stuck around with that for a while. And honestly, it's been a wild ride because I've been everything under the sun that is in the cannabis industry, from a bud tender to an edible creator, and now running the show.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's how it goes sometimes, you know, on levels, you know, like only certain people get to just start the business and be at the whatever they are, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, building your way up sometimes is the better way to go, because you learn from the mistakes that you've made.
That is
you know, and the mistakes that you didn't make, but, you know, it happened anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just prepared for it a little bit more. So, you know, I want to congratulate you on that. You know, congrats.
Thank you.
And so, yeah. So how many lounges are you running now?
Three.
Three
right now, currently.
Okay.
Yes.
Where are they at?
So we got 2 here in Las Cruces, with our location at 523 East Idaho, which is our event center. So if you ever want to have an event or do a birthday, a bachelorette party, a divorce party, whatever you want to call it, we are down to have it for you guys. If you just want to party, we're down to do that too.
Yeah.
Wednesday night. There you go. That's what we like to do, it. Stay lit, you know. But we have our Idaho location, our 1275 West Picacho location, 412 Metrum, which is going to be Redoso. So we're on our way.
Nice.
We're just going to keep on expanding.
Yeah, 100%. You know, like, we need more lounges. You know, like there's too many retails. I'm like, there's not enough lounges. You know, like we need places to go. There's certain people that do like to use cannabis and be social. You know, not everybody wants to just sit at home. And don't get me wrong, like, you know, the other day, or actually yesterday, I just saw someone post that they went to Astrobuds in Sunland and it was just too packed. I'm like, oh man, I'm going home. And I'm like, I don't blame you, you know, but some people don't mind that, you know, like that, they don't mind that kind of space. But other people, maybe another lounge would have been better for them, you know, more of a smaller kind of gathering kind of thing. And people need options, you know, and every city is a little bit different on top of it. You know, like we have a different crowd here in Las Cruces than we do like in El Paso, Summit Park.
Yes.
So like, you know, the vibes here are going to be a little bit different. It's just great that we're getting those vibes again. You know what I mean? And like,
yes, and that everybody's having fun. That's what I love, and everybody's down to collaborate, and that's my favorite part, is that we're all coming together for the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So that makes me extremely happy. Like coming back and seeing how everybody's down to collaborate just makes me want to do it even more.
Yeah.
As we should.
Yeah, 100%. You know, because like, why wouldn't we?
Exactly.
You know, you know, cannabis should be seen as a social thing. You know, like you should be able to see it as social. it wasn't our fault that we were forced into the basement, and there's some people that want to push us back down into it and expect us to stay there. But it's like, no, that's not fair. You get the alcoholics, they get to drink in the streets sometimes with, certain events,
Exactly.
and cannabis people, we get to just sit in our basement. That's not fair. So
no, we want to come out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a chance for expansion, especially with regulation and everything, to allow more cannabis open events. Like outside, concerts and stuff. Maybe coexisting together with alcohol one day. I know people, like, gawk at that, like, oh my God, how could you? But to be honest, some states kind of already do that. When I was in Texas, it was already kind of being done. Like in a lot of other states with the Delta 8 stuff and the hemp and the THCA stuff, they are already serving the THCA in bars with regular alcohol. So it's already kind of coexisting as is, and we're seeing that it can coexist. It's just the fact of convincing the legislators that. So far they believe that, blood's going to be on our hands and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But from my experience, people that drink and then use cannabis, they usually know they're not going to have a great time. Of course, moderation, but, a lot of the times they kind of stay away from each other. You get the rare case where someone will, of course, you're always going to get that one person, but they're going to do it regardless.
Yeah, of course.
Regardless of
or not, people are always going to do what they want to do, whether we enforce the rules or not.
Yeah, exactly. Those people that sneak in stuff to a bar, with their own shooters or whatever. People, they do what they do. And we can only do so much before it ends up being, a one-off incident, or it just happens, but you're at least trying, and it mitigates a lot of the issues.
Yes.
But yeah, at the end of the day, people do what they want to do. I mean, look at cannabis. Like the laws didn't stop anybody. They're still not stopping anybody today. It's still federally illegal, and look at us right now.
Exactly.
I'm sitting in a lounge, that's federally illegal. That's okay. It's state legal and all that good stuff. So it's great that these were allowed in the first place. I think I was talking beforehand that New Mexico has done lounges a little bit different than some other states have. Like Vegas and California, they've done lounges in a particular way. In California, I kind of feel they had the idea during their medical days because they kind of already had lounges, and then it kind of went away, and then legalization came, and then now it's slowly kind of creeping back.
Yes.
So it's good to see that coming back for them. But I think here in New Mexico, I think what's being realized is people are starting to realize how to navigate running a lounge.
Yes.
There's people starting to figure out that it is hospitality.
I've been saying it since day one.
Yeah.
Literally been saying it since day one, because it's true. You're going into a space where you're getting served. So it should be based more on hospitality than everything else. Everything else follows after you know what to do with hospitality.
Yeah.
As long as you know how to treat the guests and know what it is that they're looking for and know how to be able to talk to them about it and educate, hospitality is easy after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else just falls into place, like I said. So I love that I'm seeing that more. And I think that is going to be what separates us from the rest.
Yeah, 100%. I agree, because I've been to the lounges that aren't very hospitality driven, with the customer. And you can tell, and some of them I've been approached by so many people, like, how do I make this profitable? I'm like, stop thinking of it as retail. The moment that you realize that it's not retail, you'll do so much better, because then the ideas go, I can do this. Well, I can do this. We just had an idea before the show with the bud tenders and everything for a possible event here.
Exactly.
Just through brainstorming. Who knows if it's going to happen or not, but it was a great idea.
Yes.
And once you realize the hospitality part, those ideas start to come up. You know what I mean? If you leave yourself in this little retail bubble and you keep hitting these little, retail walls, you're going to be stuck in that forever.
Exactly.
But if you burst out of that little bubble and you realize, oh, it's not this, it's something totally different,
Exactly.
And so how do you come up with your events? Now that, well, you've always known that, using that theory, I guess, of, this is hospitality, how do you come up with your events?
Honestly, the way that we come up with it is, it's pretty easy. It's not what we personally want.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in what you want, like personally, but you have to think about your customers, your patients. What are they looking for? What experience are they looking for? I mean, we have our personal opinions on what we want to see and who we would want to see in the city and all that great stuff. But if you really pay attention to your customers, they'll tell you what it is that they're looking for. And if you listen to your vendors, just listen to hear, not listen to respond, has really helped out, because these are the people that want something different, and you can tell when a good event is about to go down because of how many people want to be a part of it afterwards. and it's literally just paying attention and listening, not just going based off of what you think is going to work.
Yeah.
And that's the one. I think that's I feel like bringing up profit is like bringing up ego. um, Cannabis sells itself.
Yeah.
So the profit's going to come. But
Yeah.
how are you making the experience? What experience are you allowing your customers to have, or having your customers realize that you are paying attention to them?
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually what brings them in as well. And
Yeah.
that's what makes them want to bring their friends. So it's listening to your community,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to separate what it is that you're wanting and what it is that what your customers and patients are wanting, and kind of meeting right in the middle of the, I want to be able to provide a space for my customers and my patients to be able to have fun, enjoy themselves, and feel accepted. They know exactly what they want to bring as well. So being able to provide that, and then being able to provide something that they're looking for, is honestly what has been helping us out a lot.
Yeah.
Coming right back to it, we went over capacity twice. We were able to help with a whole bunch of different vendors, talk to them, see what was going on. Um, Being able to communicate with them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all part of the industry, but we all know little parts, different parts that we can go ahead and let each other know about. Like,
Yeah.
that's my favorite part about being able to have events and our vendors, is that it's also a networking event for us.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways to be able to get to that. It's just like I said, being able to hear what it is that people are looking for, and being able to get to the finish line on that.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy once you're talking with everybody. I'm blessed to be able to be part of a community that loves me,
Mm-hmm.
and that loves 420. So we know that we're able to get things that we want to get done, and we just keep on moving forward, and being able to work with the community the way that we have been is always going to be the goal.
Yeah, and I can be one to attest that that's something that you've been doing for a while, and I'm glad that you can continue doing it, because that's something that people have told me, is that New Mexico actually has a cannabis community, and here in Cruces we're still kind of building it.
Mm-hmm.
It's here now. When during the medical days it was almost non-existent, but
Yeah.
now with legalization of adult use, there is kind of a community now. Albuquerque, they've had that cannabis community for freaking years,
Oh, yeah.
decades. They had a head start on us.
Yes.
During the medical days, the whole 9 yards. They had a Green Mile, back in like 2018.
Yes.
Like way before it even went
yes.
legal. There was, too many dispensaries there a long time ago. Yeah. It's
I
like
think that's still true right now, but
no, it is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was already a thing a long time ago. Now it's like really a thing, but it's starting to change too. Everywhere we're going, and maybe we'll start to see people realize, okay, maybe I don't need to do a retail. Maybe I can just do something different and shift. Maybe someone's not really good at selling to the customer in a retail experience, but maybe they're good at like a car salesman kind of situation.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were a good bartender. And it's like, I talked to one of the guys, his name was JJ from Eastern New Mexico. He wants to do a cocktail bar.
Yep.
And I was like, I think that's great. Like, a cannabis style cocktail bar. And, you do your mixers and stuff like that, and you add your cannabis in it. I think that's a great idea.
I think that's fantastic as well.
I do too, because the drinks are something that's coming up. I know I keep talking about this all the time, and I keep telling y'all they're creeping, and, they're coming up, and there's a lot of people, signing deals with drinks. There's, alcohol companies finally coming around saying, okay, we're not going to fight them. We're just going to join it.
Yes.
And they're realizing that, they need to. Even down in Sunland Park, Astra Buds, they figured out that they can get a hold of 0% alcohol beers.
Yep.
So that way they can infuse cannabis with that. So you get the flavor, but you get cannabis too, and no alcohol.
Yep.
One, that's the one way you're staying compliant. And two, I think that's a great idea because there's no alcohol in it whatsoever. And for someone who's either an alcoholic or just doesn't want to drink, but really kind of misses the taste of beer, or maybe the clamatos, the red beers. I like those. I kind of missed that. Yeah, me too. Exactly. And so now you can enjoy that again, but with cannabis or without it if you want. Like you can just get the taste. And so it's really expanding, and I love that, because you guys are listening to the customers, and there's other people starting to listen to customers and stuff too.
Yes.
And I'm just really, excited for the future of this, because I can't see other states not doing this in the future. Like, you have states that are holding off, like, in Washington and Colorado, who haven't done this yet. And they were the first two states to go legal. And, I have friends in both places, and, family, of course, in Colorado. And I asked them all the time, I was like, is there any talk of your legislature to do this? They're like, no. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this is like the future, like, is there no community there? And I guess that's where I'm going back with the conversation there. When one of my buddies in Washington was like, "There's no community here." He's like, "I went to a 420 event, and yeah, that was kind of community driven, but it's not very big, you know." Like, and like he said, I'm noticing in New Mexico, your guys' community is great, awesome. Like you guys are showing up to stuff. There's stuff going on all the time. But I think the major difference is our legislation allows it to happen. You know, in states like Washington and Colorado, it doesn't allow it as easily to happen like it does here. You know, like you're still worrying about a lot of BS when it comes to the laws and stuff and how strict it is.
It's very much fear-based, and there's a lot of that still going around, and that's actually kind of crazy to me, because we see a lot of things that are going on in the pharmaceutical world where you should be concerned, but you're concerned with something that doesn't even, the statistics don't even back it up the way that people would assume it does, or the way that the news puts it out. So it's very much fear-based. I think a lot of the states that are coming up, they're still in the reefer madness era, and I think New Mexico has surpassed that because of the medical side. We've done so much with the medical side that I think people are now just like, okay, it's cannabis, it's weed, it's bud, it's marijuana, whatever you want to call it. It's I think more people are wanting to go towards cannabis versus alcohol, especially in our state. Our state is very, unfortunately, there's a lot of addiction in our state. And I think that that's where you see the connection more between cannabis and its customers, is that there's that connect right there, is that we don't want to be that state. So we're going towards more, basically more openness, and thanks to people like you, because you go up there and you talk, and you let them know exactly what it is that we're wanting when we're not able to go up there. So a lot of it is, I'm going to give you your flowers, man. A lot of it is because of you, and
appreciate it. Thank you.
And because of people like you and you yourself, I'm able to do what I need to do and what I love to do. So I want to congratulate you on that as well, man.
Appreciate it. You know, and I meant to bring my award bet today during the show.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I meant to like put it like right here. So I did win Advocate of the Year for 2025 for the SEs. So thank you everybody who voted for me. You know, I meant to mention that earlier, but I totally forgot. I was more focused on getting the show done. Next episode or tomorrow, for tomorrow's, because 2 episodes this week, surprise, surprise. Tomorrow I'll have my award for that episode, and we'll put it up all nice and fancy, and everybody can see it, and I'll show you guys. But yeah, I did win Advocate of the Year, so that was great. I did win Influencer of the Year a couple years ago, which was kind of random because I'm not an influencer. But thank you guys. I've won both of those, and of course, Valley Harvard, she won the SE itself the 3rd time. So congratulations to her. Yes, she's my mentor, and I appreciate it. And I actually owe a lot to her, to, you know, the things I know and do and this and that, and of course my own experiences and stuff like that too. But you know, she's a really big part of why I keep going and running. I mean, she's like 80 years old and she's still going. You know, still advocating. It's been a whole lifetime of advocating and fighting for the plant. You know, and it took many decades for her to get this done. And I thought the decade it took me almost to get this, the legalization, you know, push forward, was a long time. And I was like, no, a lifetime is a while. So it's much deserved for her.
Pioneer. True pioneer.
100%. Yeah. So, anyways, thank you guys. I appreciate it, you know, the votes and stuff like that, because it was people's choice. So that was a great event. I appreciate them putting it on. They put it on every year. It's remembering one of the first medical cannabis patients in New Mexico, Essie. She was an AIDS patient, and unfortunately she passed away years ago, but we remember her by this event, and I hope we can continue doing it, and we can remember more advocates as they come and go throughout the years who are very important to this industry. So
very much so.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way. Yeah,
I
totally forgot.
No,
already.
No,
I'm just back to work. I'm back at it.
I'm here to remind you, just like how you're here to remind me. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you so very much, just because you have led the way for a lot of us, and that is the perfect example right there as well. Is that's why we're such a tight community, because we know that we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees of separation from us being able to get things done.
Yeah.
So being able to get that connection and map out, I think that's a beautiful thing. So, with all of that being said, that is what keeps us close, is that we do genuinely like to work together. Contrary to popular belief, we actually do work together, guys. Yeah. We do collaborate, and it's amazing when you get to see the work that everybody gets to put in, and you get awarded for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. You know, and the way you get rewarded in New Mexico is different than other places too sometimes. You know?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, me too. And it's not always monetarily.
No.
And sometimes that's more important when it's not monetary. Like sometimes it's in the form of, friendships, memories, whatever it may be.
Or a drink.
Or a drink. Yeah, I'll take a drink. Yeah.
Can we get a thoth in here? Let's get two.
Oh, we're getting a thoth in here. All right, let's talk about that. I want to talk about the cannabis drinks and stuff because I mentioned a little bit ago the cocktail and stuff, but you yourself make cannabis drinks too.
Yes, I do.
Can we talk about that?
Of course, yes. Well, our last show that we did together, we actually were talking about how drinks are gonna be the bigger thing, and I feel like we kind of brought that more into like existence and being able to like manifest it, because I knew that drinks were gonna be big, because who doesn't like drinks, and what is more inconspicuous than a drink?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
And honestly, I love seeing everybody else's stuff. I love being able to taste everybody else's stuff. Um, I I have been working so hard with drinks and so it just makes me happy to go ahead and see what everybody else is doing because it's been a long road to be able to get drinks into New Mexico and um, being one of the first to be able to produce drinks here in the state of New Mexico is a very eye-opening experience because of how much people wanted to compare it to alcohol when it was convenient.
Yeah.
Because you could compare it to alcohol and show all of the bad things except for when it really mattered.
Yeah.
So it's only when it's convenient, unless if you have people advocating for it.
Yeah.
So with drinks, I just think that the sky's the limit. There's just so much you could do. Like for example, with us, we have drinks that are low sugar or no sugar at all, so that everybody can go ahead and try it out. Oh, look at him!
Thank you, side hand.
Got a lemonade. I know.
Off-screen hand.
Lemonade.
Ooh, yeah. This is one of my favorites. Actually, you got to give it a good
Same.
shake.
Yep.
Yeah,
Give it a good shake. Always remember, it doesn't matter if who makes it. I always give it a good shake.
Yeah, and sometimes you can see it on the bottom. This one's actually been pretty shook already.
Yep.
So it's pretty fresh. And what I'm drinking, this is the Thoth Lemonade, 10 milligrams. And actually, I drink these quite a bit. My girlfriend loves this one. Actually, is that the cherry or is that the fruit punch?
This is going to be the fruit punch.
Fruit punch, that one's pretty good too. My favorite is the cherry. And I do love the fact that the sugar in these are a lot lower than the ones previously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we do have some that are low sugar, no sugar. We do have some that are actually, for those that actually like to taste the drink. One of the things that we love about our drinks is that you can't really taste the medicine. And there's a few people that like it like that, while there's others that want to taste the medicine. So for those that don't want that taste, we usually go to the Thoth. Honestly, I feel like being able to have these and being able to experience them is a whole different experience than you just smoking.
Yeah.
With drinks, I feel like you get to enjoy the vibe. You get to be more a part of the conversation, and nobody really has the fear of drinking. I think Reefer Madness has really just put that on smoking. So people feel like, oh, drinking is more like drinking wine. And as you should. You're enjoying it. It's a nightcap. Nobody should be feeling a certain type of way because you're having the drink.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, drinks in general, water is very important, 70% of our body, et cetera, et cetera. So we're always going to be drinking something.
Yes.
And, why not, add it to your cannabis? Because as we know, smoking anything isn't the best for your health.
Exactly.
And as we venture on in this cannabis journey, we're starting to realize that, okay, smoking is going to be there always, but it's not always going to be the number one method because of that.
Yes.
And just because of the health factors, every doctor I talk to, there's even famous cannabis stoners. I mean, Snoop Dogg's last music video that I saw had him, at the beginning, talking to a mock doctor. Of course, is a play on. He was talking about smoking and this and that. Should be smoking anymore and this and that. So, there's a lot of realness to it. Like smoking anything isn't the best for you, cannabis or not. So why not, try something a little bit different, the drinks and stuff like that. And, me, I'm a huge advocate for the drinks. And this past weekend, I was at a friend's birthday party. Well, y'all were partying down here. I was in Rio Doce. So I went and bought a dozen of these because it was buy one, get one for a penny. And so I was like, I'm just going to buy a dozen. I'm going to be at a party. They're going to be drinking. I was like, so am I.
And as we should. We should be able to have that other option. And you shouldn't. It's kind of crazy to go from our high school days where it was more acceptable for you to like smoke and drink, and now as an adult you're like, I just want to take a drink but I don't want to have a beer. So it's more acceptable, like with your friends, to be able to be like, you know what, bro, I got my THC drink, we're good, I'm solid, and everybody's like, oh, that's cool. Can I actually check that out? Can I try it out? And I feel that going into that is a beautiful thing, because now a lot of us are medical patients. So this allows us to be part of those celebrations, those talks, those get-togethers, because we're technically medicating whilst having fun.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, we talked about it before. You know, it's hard to get offended. You know, like it really is. Like if I'm at, let's just say, you know, a make believe, you know, concert outside, right? And I'm walking around and there's this lady who hates cannabis and never wants it around her, and she's drinking and I'm drinking. She doesn't even know I'm drinking cannabis.
Exactly.
You know, like she doesn't even know that's what's in my cup.
Exactly.
She just thinks I'm a drunk like her.
Exactly.
No,
more times
no
not,
insults
like,
to the
cheers.
drunks, but you
No,
know,
not
like,
at all.
yeah, not at all.
Got you guys too.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, she doesn't think I'm a, you know, a stupid stoner. Is what's going on in her head. You know, we think they're drunks, they think we're stupid stoners.
Yeah.
And so I think that could be the happy medium between us, and might bridge the gap between us both, and be like, okay, just leave each other the fuck alone.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody is ever asking, yo, what are you drinking?
Yeah.
But when people are like, do you smoke? You know who smokes, because they'll be like, smoke what? It's never like, I don't smoke cigarettes, but it's usually like, smoke what? Oh yeah, I smoke cannabis, I smoke weed.
Yeah.
Like I think that's like the funniest question to ask, because you literally can tell who does smoke bud because of that answer. Smoke what?
Yeah.
Nobody asked that other than us.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the doctor's office, they'll be like, do you smoke? I'm like, not tobacco.
That part. Yep. I'm always like, I smoke cannabis, and then they're like, yeah, we can tell. I forget. They can also smell it.
Yeah. I mean, we forget because we've
been around it so much.
We get a little muted to that smell and everything.
Oh yeah.
So, what are your plans for the drinks? You know, do you have any plans for something like this, or maybe getting a little more wild, or maybe introducing like mocktails in the lounge?
Yes, that's actually, so we were doing that prior, but with a few changes, you know, we had to kind of go through a little bit of a just chill spell. But yes, we're totally moving into making more mocktails. We are wholesaling these as well, so I want to be able to collaborate with all of the lounges here in New Mexico. I think that's a beautiful way for us to get together and work together. We are so separated from each other. I feel like at that point, nobody's stepping on toes, nobody's being that person. We're all here to work together, because lounges are what is making us right now. So as far as the drinks, we're coming up with some new flavors. We're going to be doing a Cinco de Mayo event at the Idaho location. It's Taco Tuesday.
Oh shit!
It's Taco Tuesday, so we're going to make
even
sure that
better
we have tacos for you guys. We're going to make sure that we have some drinks, some new drinks. Definitely some mock margaritas. We're going to have a whole bunch of, like, a whole lineup of new things that we're coming up with, and that's just a perfect example for us to go ahead and show the community what we've been working on, what's been going on behind the scenes. You know, sometimes it takes patience and just a little bit of being in the background to go ahead and get all the things that you want to get done.
Yeah.
So, and that includes with these guys. So we have them all the way from 2.5 milligrams for the microdosers, all the way up to our medical, which would be the 500s. But I am going to say that when it comes to the lounge, there's a certain allotment that we're able to give out. And that's a part of education that I love, that we get to also let them know that we're not trying to overdo it. Unlike at a bar where they do want to keep on giving you shots. Even though there's rules and regulations, the word profit always comes up, and that's where people, like I said, where the ego comes in, and that can really ruin things. But with us, we try to make sure that you get home safe, that you enjoy your drink, that you enjoy the party, and that you're able to just have the time of your life without feeling guilty like people did back in the 80s. Not that they felt guilty. I know you didn't.
I know, right? I don't care if that lion's mad at me from Dare.
Yep. Oh, I'm sure he feels a certain type of way as an ambassador. I've done great. I still kept my promise. I don't do anything else. I just do cannabis.
Yeah. So, never do the hard stuff. So be proud to be there.
Yeah, we just do the thought. It's just the thought that counts.
The thought that counts. I love that.
Yes. So with that, like we are getting into some more events. Like I said, we're wholesaling. We're also white labeling. If there's anybody that would want to work with us, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, because I'm always down for the collaboration. I feel like between all of us being able to work together, that's really what's gonna make us go even harder in the paint when it comes to making sure that we stay in the scenes and being able to provide an experience for our customers and our patients.
Definitely, and the experiences create memories, and
Yes,
the memories are things that you go home to talk about.
exactly.
Like I've been to I don't know how many dispensaries, and I can only think of a couple that really stick in my mind. But when it comes to lounges, I feel like that's gonna stick even more because I'm there longer. I'm
Yes.
experiencing more. I'm like trying new things. Like this is a great place to try new products. Or
Yes.
like a Thoth, or like like say they have some. Actually, today just now, you guys have a combo pack
Yes.
where I got 2 dabs for my girlfriend and a drink. At a price of like $8 or something like that.
Yep.
And so that's great. Like you can sit there at the bar while she's waiting for me to do my show and stuff, and
Exactly.
take a couple dabs and have some drinks and stuff. And I think that's great that you guys thought outside the box and you said, let's do combo deals. Like
Yep.
some people aren't here for that reason. Some are just wanting to chill for a couple dabs and head out and have their water or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And that's perfect. I love that.
Exactly.
So the experimentation continues, and we venture on with this. So thank you so much for sharing with that. And before we move on to the next topics, what's some new I guess events that are coming to the lounge near you?
So for us, like I said, it's the Cinco de Mayo celebration. It's gonna be on Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. So we're gonna make sure that we toke it up and we have some tacos while we talk it up. Wow, that was a
a lot of
whole.
peas.
I know we got this, but yeah. So we're gonna be doing Cinco de Mayo, and then we're also gonna be doing 710. We're working with Connoisseur Cannabis and the Vibe. We're also working with Chile, Desert Peaks. We got Headspace, Dime. Honestly, it's a beautiful thing for us to be able to throw events, because it's also beautiful to be able to have the customers and the patients be able to experience that in an open space where you can have tacos and be able to toke it up.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see what other collaborations we can get with other lounges as well. I know that we're going to be in the talks with like Astro Buds. I want to be able to do things with the consumption lounges up in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
I really do feel that being able to come together is where it's going to be at. We've already gone through the trenches together, so I feel like now we can be not now. Now we're in that zone of being able to know what works, what doesn't, and how we can move forward.
Yeah.
With all of us being able to work together, because New Mexico is such a, I feel like it's a gold mine and nobody has found it yet.
Yeah, and to be honest, I kind of hope nobody does find it yet. I
Yeah.
hope we stay that little hidden gem, because we get to enjoy it more.
Yes.
It's ruined less quickly.
Yes, yes, that part. But that's what I'm saying. If we all come together and we're able to work together, that it's harder for you to come into a sturdy home than a broken one.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And I think we've created something stellar here in New Mexico. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, and nothing is, and no one's done this exactly right, but I think we're on the right track.
Yes.
Most people are trying to even find the right track, and I think we found it. We just got to continue on it and build from it. We got to keep continuing on and improving it. Yes. And I think that starts with like the lounges and stuff like that, getting our taxes figured out the next legislative session. I think that's going to have to be top priority, because it's going up this summer to a total of 22% when you add all the state gratuity and all that. So depending where you're on the state.
To that, actually.
Yeah, we'll take a drink to that. Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna suck.
But we're trying. We are definitely trying to talk. We're not trying. We're doing in talking with our legislators and trying to get them to understand that yes, it does help the state, but we are also one of the states that needs the most help.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I try to explain to them that 280E is also a thing, and they just don't get it. They just don't understand it. I'm like, you guys are the government. Like, this is from the government.
Yeah.
The federal government. Don't get me wrong, but it should make sense to you guys in some sense. Like, we're not federally legal, so we have to pay a different tax. Like it's just significantly more, like 40, 50%. Don't get me wrong. Some people figure out little methods and ways to make it a little less or whatever, but still, at the end of the day, you're still faced with that. It's not like a regular business tax that some other business pays, and it's really not that much of a big deal. When it comes to cannabis, oh man, it's ridiculous the amount that they tax us at this level. Yep. So that's one thing that will have to change federally, the 280E. But if we get our other taxes lowered here in New Mexico, I think that's going to help significantly we'll still be making money. We'll might make even more money at that point.
Yeah.
And we won't have to burden the patients as much. Patients and customers as much as they do, because the patients in New Mexico don't pay taxes, but some don't have their card anymore, but they're still patients because of whatever reason.
Yep.
So that would lower the burden on those people too. So
Exactly.
I wish you nothing but luck, dude, and I congratulate you and welcome back.
Thank you so very much, and it's amazing to be back. Thank you for inviting me and for always bringing the attention to all of us on what's going on in the cannabis side. I know that I get busy trying to figure out what to do on the lounge side, so being able to see your updates really helps me get back into what's going on in the background of other things. So again, I'm going to give you your flowers too, because of your efforts and the efforts of so many others, we're able to do what we love to do, and I want to give them thanks as well, because we're able to do what we love to do.
100%. And all the people that came before us are one of the reasons that keeps me motivated. So I appreciate that.
Yes,
Heck
yes.
yeah. So anyway, we're going to move on to our next topic. We got a couple more left for the day, and one we're actually going to be talking about alcohol here in New Mexico and how that's changed. So that was a great conversation we had a little bit earlier where we mentioned that a little. But the next one, and this one probably won't take too long, but Thailand ends their recreational cannabis program, and this is something I wrote about last week. If you guys aren't in the know, it's exactly what happened. Their government decided to change things. It was pretty much an open, free, whatever market. There actually a couple of people from Thailand started following me, and I'm looking at their grows and shit. I'm like, damn, these are like shit you see here in New Mexico. I'm like, good Lord, they're doing all right over there.
Yes.
And I'm sure some Americans went over there and helped out, and made some money too.
Yeah, we love to live our imprint everywhere we go.
Yeah, exactly. So they have a new licensing requirement. I'm reading this verbatim here so I don't mess it up. So now the retailers have to convert into a health-focused centers such as clinics and pharmacies, and they have to employ licensed healthcare providers. And that's the only way they're going to be able to continue operating. And that's unfortunate because they were already at a different level. They could have done this part still to make it more medical. Okay, let's take the product that we have here and let's just make it more cleaner for the people that need it as a medicine, and to make it more scientifically whatever so we can study it. That makes sense, but forcing everybody in that route just seems like it's going to cause a lot of issues, and a lot of people are fighting it over there, and of course the business owners aren't very happy, and of course the patients aren't either. And it's unfortunate because it's only been 3 years that they essentially legalized over there. But you guys have to remember too, Asia is a pretty conservative area of the world. They're not as like liberal. Don't get me wrong, you have your countries, your off countries and all that, but they're more conservative when it comes to like cannabis and stuff like that than you guys probably know. And it'd be a surprise or whatever that the rest of the world isn't always so liberal. But that's just the way it is over there. And so when it comes to cannabis, Thailand has a different mindset on it, but not everybody there, obviously it shows. And of course the surrounding countries on top of it have very, very strict cannabis laws. In China, it's the death penalty.
Yes.
In Japan, I think it's prison for however long.
Yep.
In Cambodia, I think it's some other crazy penalty. But
Russia as well. That's wild.
It is, right? It is wild. So the fact that Thailand went this far, I thought was going to be I want to say a domino effect, but you would start seeing more Asian countries kind of go that route. But now we're seeing a reverse effect. But we're starting to see this reverse effect even here in the States. You have Arizona over there where you have certain people trying to, take back legalization and make it illegal again, and make it illegal, make it to where your neighbor can sue you if they smell your weed.
Yeah,
like,
I was about
ridiculous.
to bring that up. I was like, who smoked that much? I'm just curious. DM me if it's you. I'm
asking
curious.
for a friend.
Yes, I want to pick your brain. But and that's why I'm saying that community is so important, because as long as your community is still going to city council meetings, still going to the roundhouse meetings, that's how easy it is for this to get taken away. And that's why it's so important for all of us to be advocates in what we're doing. It's not one of those one and done, we got it, we're sealed, everything's good. It's an ever changing industry, and all it takes is one voice to change how people feel about it, and all it takes is one advocate to contradict whatever something is being told that we know ain't true. So I feel like that's where that's why alcohol always uh, always succeeds is because how much they lobby and how much they are in the roundhouse meetings. The fact that they actually have people that's their job.
Yeah.
That's literally their whole job, is to make sure that they talk to the government and make sure that the alcohol is always in good standing. So when it comes to something like another country or another spot that's just changing it up so fast, that is a perfect example for us to be able to see and say, okay, so what can we do to make sure that that does not necessarily happen to us, and how can we make it better from what we've already been making as far as paving the road.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a trip to see
Yeah.
how everything has been going on, how fast things change. So
Yeah, they do, and I'm curious there, about Thailand as well, how active their advocates are, or even if they really have any advocates. I haven't met
yes.
any. Obviously, I've never been to Thailand either. But I'm
That's
curious to
valid.
know if that's the case, because it only takes two people for constituent to turn into constituents,
Mhm.
to become plural, and that's all a politician needs to fight something. And
Yep.
when on the debate on the floor, that's all he has to say is, my constituents are saying this, and it's really only two people, and sometimes that's all it takes.
Yep.
But that one advocate there could correct things, and I've done it myself. Where
Yep.
we've had people with contradicting information, and then we step in and say, actually, no, this is what's happening. That's either old information or it's inaccurate because this and this and this.
Yep.
If you're not there, you can't defend yourself if you're not there.
Exactly.
So how do you expect to get a positive end result if you're not even there in the first place to help it along? Because that's what our government is. It's a participation.
Exactly.
You have to participate in our government for it to actually work. And when they say freedom isn't free, that's kind of what they mean. Is you
Yes.
have to work for your freedom and keep it going. And like this cannabis thing, like you said, it's not closed book thing. We're done. We're never gonna have to worry about this ever again. No, every year, every few months, whatever, we get something thrown at us, and some kind of change, pushed up with us, or some kind of change that we want or need.
Yeah.
And it's never gonna be the end.
No,
it's always gonna be forever changing.
Always changing.
Yeah, and it should. Yeah.
Yes, it should, because if we get stuck in one mode, I know a lot of people that are like, no, we shouldn't change it. Maybe we want to stick with this, and I'm like, yes, but that works right now.
Yeah.
If we were to look 5 years from now, is that going to work 5 years from now? Probably
Exactly.
not. And it's
Yeah.
because there's always new technological advances. There's new things, new methods, new things that you want to introduce to your customers, your patients, vendors, and owners alike. Like, I mean, let's look at how fast concentrates moved into shops and into the market. When I want to say that before 2006, 2007, nobody really, you had to be in the know of what concentrates were.
Yeah. 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 You're right.
So it's always changing, and that's why I'm always going to be a big advocate for you and a big advocate for the cannabis industry, because you have to stay on top of it if you want to get the results that you're needing.
Yeah.
And it's not just these big roundhouse meetings where, like, oh, you might have to go to Santa Fe. It's the ones that are in your city, in your county, in your village, that you want to make sure that you're a part of, because all it takes, what is that saying? One person can change a group can change a state can change the nation, a nation can change the world.
Yeah.
I think that is a very big fact, and being able to make sure that you can, again, it always comes back to community.
Yeah.
If you can engage with your community, you'll know what they're looking for, and then we can go ahead and get what we should be able to get as a cannabis community.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree,
So-
100%. And it's going to take work.
Always.
And I hope the people in Thailand, I hope you guys get to work. And from what I've seen, some of the people there are working on something. And I guess there are some politicians who disagree with that decision, and they're trying to. I don't really know how the government works in that sense. The way that it is. I will have to look it up. But it looks like they're trying to look at some change. Like I said, I don't know how that happens in Thailand, but maybe next episode, next week, not tomorrow. We'll figure that out, and I'll come back and tell you guys if I get more information. It's like, yeah, I'm not doing that tomorrow. But yeah, my hat's off to Thailand for the way that they did it. That was a very bold move. It's just unfortunate they're in a very conservative part of the world.
Yes.
Where cannabis is still, has a worse stigma than it does here in the United States.
Yes.
Because there's still a lot of stigma when it comes to cannabis. I mean, psilocybin and psychedelics are getting like a free pass
Yep.
right now, and
Yep.
cannabis is still getting shit on. We keep seeing these, articles. Cannabis makes your brain dead. Cannabis does this, and then you really look at the studies, and you're kind of like, the study doesn't make any sense.
No,
like
not
the
at
way
all.
they did it. So it's unfortunate that the money backing is still trying to fight us.
Yes.
And that's unfortunate.
Yes, and that's why we have to keep on fighting because I feel like the more that we keep on showing up and showing out, the more we're going to be able to get to that point, and we want to make sure that we stay in the good side of everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say it, when it comes to a lot of people believing a lot of the stigma with cannabis, the most hardworking people that I know are actually part of the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
We are here all the time.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like it's past us to just put a little bit more effort on making sure that we are more present in these meetings and making sure that we don't run the same fate that Thailand did.
Yeah, me too, 100%. And that's just word to the weary out there. Especially if you're in the cannabis industry, you're already an advocate. You just don't know it. When you join this industry, you've automatically become an advocate. You have to advocate for your job, for this industry, for it to continue. So remember that. Don't forget it. If time comes and you're somewhere in a city and there's a city council hearing on something, show up. Or have a meeting with your legislator, your city councilor, whatever. Your county commissioner. You can even hit up the governor. You can email all of them, and most of them, especially your representatives, like in the state for New Mexico, like your state senator and your state representative, they're pretty easy to get a hold of. Yeah. So all you got to do is go to the website, the nmlegis.gov website, and on there it even says find my legislator. You put your address in, it shows you exactly who it is, has their contact information. It's actually really easy.
Yes.
And a lot of the times they will respond. They do have to read your email. Don't send them the copy and paste emails you guys get from like normal stuff. I love them. I get it. But come to find out, they actually throw those away when they figure out their copy and paste.
Yes.
So if you do that, the very first part of it, just add your own sentence, whatever paragraph, and then leave the rest. They're probably going to disregard it anyway. So that's a good thing. Also, try not to do history time with them. They've heard it a million gajillions in times. Just get to the point, what you want, what you mean, this and that, and that'll save you a lot of time. So that's my advocate tip for you this week. And we're going to move on to the very last topic. Thank you for that one. Yes. And this one's actually very important because alcohol-related deaths have dropped 23% here in New Mexico from 2021 to 2024. And that is actually significant, just even within that time frame. Yes. Like they're not looking at it from, whatever, how many other years. 23% just in, three, almost 4 years. That's huge. And, also, I guess April is Alcohol Awareness Month. Yes. And Cannabis Awareness Month. Yes. But what that means is they're raising awareness on people's consumption or overconsumption of both, both cannabis and alcohol. And I found out it's for both combined because there is some people who overconsume both at the same time. Yes. And there's issues. We talked about that earlier. Some people, you probably shouldn't do that. Mostly because people end up throwing up.
Yeah, it can happen with both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you end up kind of throwing up because you get too dizzy and stuff. Yeah, so you want to stay away from it. Of course, there's other stuff too. But I can't really say that is this from cannabis or not. But 2021 is the year that we legalized cannabis here in New Mexico.
That's what I was about to bring up.
Exactly. So I would like to see the data from like maybe 2017 to 2020 as well added in that to kind of really get an idea. Well, was it cannabis or not? Because 23%, it's actually a pretty big percentage. Yes. To report on. So I really want to know, if it was cannabis, because there are a lot more people that are using cannabis now in New Mexico now that it's legal. Because a lot of people were telling me the only thing that's preventing them is the legal status. They don't want to break the law. And that's fair. That's fine, by all means. Yes. But now they can, and that might be the case. And I've heard people tell me that I quit drinking because of cannabis. Because of legalization, I was able to kick it to the curb, and now I'm just a cannabis user, and I'm California sober.
Yes,
as they call it. Yeah, California sober.
Yeah, and that I feel like lounges is what helps out with that as well, especially with those folks that are looking for that bar effect without having to go to the bar. I also have noticed that there's a lot of customers and patients that come in and will let us know that exact same thing. Yeah, they'll be like, we love coming to the lounge, or we love meeting up here because we still get that feel versus having to go to the bar and still feel like they have to get drunk to be able to enjoy their time.
Yeah.
And you can come to the lounge and just smoke, take your drink, and everything's good. With us, with 420, we actually have an Uber code still.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
Dope.
even if you do get a little bit too lit, we make sure that you get home safely.
Cool, and I'm glad that you bring that up because that's something that a couple people have asked me before. You know, what do these lounges do for whatever? But I'm like, it's like a bar, dude. You know, you just call a ride home.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and for us, we want to make sure that's another difference too, is that we want to make sure that you get home safely.
Yeah.
We actually, if we call the Uber for you and we make sure that you get home safe, we actually give you a call the next day to make sure that everything was good,
cool.
that you're right,
Yeah.
that you had a good experience, and that you know that you are in a safe space with us as well.
Yeah. And that's great to hear. You know, bars don't even do that. You know, they just like, all right, see you later. Give us more money later.
Hospitality. It matters. It matters.
It just sounds like a PSA. Hospitality. Ding.
It matters. Yeah. Yeah. But it's because it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And why not make it hospitality? You know?
Yeah, there you go.
Go ahead and make sure everybody gets safe. Make sure that everybody's good. Why not get big, bro?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and cannabis people, you know, we're very caring people a lot of the time. You know, like they want to make sure that people aren't doing bad. But then again, cannabis doesn't do the same thing as alcohol does to you. Two total different things. And alcohol has been studied very, very extensively. And so we know exactly what's wrong with it. Cannabis, we're still figuring that out. But there are no deaths on records due to cannabis, unlike alcohol, which leads to thousands of deaths here in New Mexico.
Yes.
You know, and that's unfortunate, you know,
Very
from
unfortunate.
consumption to, you know, wrecks to, you know, whatever the reason may be. You know, it's leading to, you know, a lot of people, you know, losing their lives here in New Mexico. Some I've known personally, unfortunately. And that could have been prevented by, you know, having less of a community who punishes you for something less harmful, and then promotes something even more harmful. It's literally poison.
Yes.
And I'm glad that's slowly changing. You know, we know that we shouldn't be promoting that. And to be honest, like a lot of my friends that drank a lot back in the day, don't get me wrong, we're old now, so you know we shouldn't be drinking as much, but they aren't drinking as much, and I'm glad to hear that. You know, because you know I want them here for as long as possible. You know, we don't want them to want to lose them to something stupid. You know what I mean? That it was brought on by something like that. So it's great that this is happening in New Mexico, and you know I'm excited to hear that you know 23% of this of New Mexicans aren't passing away due to this, because that's great. You know, like that's just good news to hear. You know, like another thing to keep in mind, Gen Z, they're not drinking very much. They're actually like on record the less drinking generation. They also have less sex than any other generation, come to find out too. So you know, whatever that tells us on that one. But you know that's kind of helped. You know, millennials and Gen X, we've kind of kept up the trend of drinking, especially Gen X. Millennials were kind of starting to fade, but I still know a lot of my friends that do. You know, don't get me wrong, some work in government and stuff like that, so they only have that option. Yeah, you know, I'm sure you know some people that have only that option too, and you know, it's brutal because that's all they can choose, and they're like, I wish I could do something else, but this is it. Yes. And I'm like, you do nothing too.
And that should change as well, because I feel like if you are a state official or a government official, if you're in your state, then you should be able to do something else that's not going to put you in the situation where we've seen a lot of our authority figures even get pulled over and they're under the influence of alcohol. I think that there's a lot of room for improvement and all of that, and I think that once more more conversations come up with our government to be able to get that going, I think that should be something that should be awarded to them as well. Being the person that everybody goes to, especially when it's a city, a state, or even the country, I'm pretty sure that is a very stressful thing, and alcohol should not be your first option.
No,
you should be able to have I mean, yoga's great, but I mean, you should be able to have other means to be able to, you know, just be human, be able to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, 100%. You know, you shouldn't be forced to be put into a bar where you have to drink or, you know, whatever. And then, you know what it does to you. Because a lot of people knows, you know, how they are when I'm this kind of drunk. I'm an angry drunk. Like, most people I know are pretty chill high.
Yeah, most of them don't even want conflict. They're just like, okay, cool. I mean, it is what it is. Like,
yeah, you're gonna ruin my high. All right.
Man, let me just take another drink.
Yeah, it's like, not with that attitude, right? Salud.
Cheers to that.
Prost.
Yeah. I'm gonna look like a kid with the Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah, we got the little Kool-Aid thing around it. Yeah, because these are like Donna AIDS.
Yeah, these are great. These are nostalgic for a reason.
Yeah, 100%. And I like the fact that there's less sugar in them now too.
Yes.
As someone even told me the other day, like, oh wow, there's only 5 grams of sugar in here. I'm like, tastes great too.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't need all that sugar for it to taste great.
No, we're adults now. That can affect us now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but negatively for sure.
Yes, yes.
So, but yeah, that's really all I had for that. You know, it was just great to hear that. You know, we dropped down the deaths 23% here in New Mexico, and you know, is cannabis the reason? I don't know, but you know, it could be a good reason if it is. I'm just glad to hear that. We'll get more data, I'm sure, as time goes on that and everything. But I'll be back tomorrow, guys, for another episode of #Grassy Logic. Donna, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course.
She has to do a celebratory.
Yeah,
blunt.
we gotta do the blunt skis so that people know that it's real and I'm really back. I'm so glad that we are able to do another show and that you're able to, you know, just be able to show the world what you're good at. And thank you so much for letting me be a part of that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm very, very blessed, and I just thank you so much, man, for everything.
No. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you actually providing a place with some hospitality.
Always.
All right, guys. I hope you had a wonderful 420. We're here a day after 420. Yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow, I guess, for another episode of Grassy Logic. And again, Donna, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, guys. Prost, salud, all the good stuff. I'll see y'all mañana.
Salud. Muchas gracias.
Wow.